The name of the movie is The Fall Guy. The film opens with Colt Seavers working as a stunt double. He loved his work because he was special in it and he was considered one of the best people at his job. His fiancée Jody also worked with him. She was a cinematographer. One day, he had an assignment to perform a dangerous scene instead of an actor named Tom. The film producer, Gail, and Tom asked him to perform this dangerous scene. The scene involved Colt being thrown from a high height, but while performing this scene, he falls to the ground and is seriously injured. His career ended here. After 18 months have passed, we see him after he decided to leave his previous job permanently. He was living alone in an apartment, and he also moved away from his fiancée, Jody, without any reason. Since that time, he has been living in a state of sadness and boredom. One day, Gail called him and asked him to perform one of the scenes in a new Tom movie, but he refused. So Gail used her intelligence and told him that the director of the film was Jody. This is her first film to be directed, and she requested that Colt participate in this scene. So, without thinking, he decided to return to work as stunt double. The next day he arrives at the film set and meets Dan Tucker, who was the stunt coordinator. He took him on a tour of the filming site to tell him about the scene he was going to perform, which was about a car overturning. Although filming this scene was risky, Colt decided to do it. He asked Dan if Jody had asked about him, but Dan told him that she wasn't interested and had never asked about him. He was surprised by this because Gail told him that Jody was the one who wanted him to come work with them. On the other hand, Jody was with the work team and carrying out her tasks. She did not know that Colt would come to the filming site to perform the dangerous scene. We discover that Gail was lying in order to get Colt to return to work. Then Jody decides to film the dangerous scene. She gets in one of the cars to film the car Colt is riding in. Indeed, the scene begins, and Jody does not know that Colt is the one performing this scene. The dangerous scene was actually filmed and Colt was able to play the role successfully. Everyone started greeting him because the scene was perfect. Jody finally saw him and she was angry at him because he walked away from her. She told him she didn't want him on set, but her assistant Nigel told her that Colt was the only person who could do these scenes and that they should keep him to perform the rest of the dangerous scenes. So she was forced to let him stay. After that, Colt performed another scene, which was in a field where a battle was taking place. The scene that he had to perform was that he was burned and collided with a rock. The scene was real and tiring, and Jody refilmed the scene several times, but in the end the scene was filmed successfully. At the end of the day, Colt went to Gail and was angry at her for lying to him, but she was not interested in that and she asked him something strange. She asked him to look for the actor Tom because he disappeared and she did not know anything about him. She did not want to tell the police because if they came to the filming location, they would discover that she exceeded the specified filming budget, which is against the law, and thus filming the film would be stopped. She tells him that he only has 48 hours to find Tom, otherwise everyone will know that Tom has disappeared and thus filming will be stopped. Indeed, he decided to help Gail because this is the first film that Jody is directing. Then he went and got into one of the cars to look for Tom. But before that he started playing music and started remembering the past when he was with Jody. So he started crying. Then suddenly Jody came and talked to him. She asked him to continue his work with them, but they should forget about their previous relationship. He agreed to this and told her that he loved her, but he had to stay away from her because he did not want her to watch him in his miserable state. She understood that. Then he goes to the house of actor Tom and starts searching for him everywhere, but he does not find him. Suddenly a girl attacks him with a sword, but he manages to avoid her blows. When he saw her, he recognized her. She was Iggy, Tom's fiancée, and also an actress. She told him she thought he was a thief, and he asked her where Tom was. But she told him that she did not know where he was, but she knew that most of the time he went to a nightclub owned by a person named Don, the drug dealer. Tom was buying drugs from Don, so Colt goes straight to the nightclub and meets Don. He seemed to be drinking a drink. He asked him where Tom was, but Don told him that he didn't know where he was, and then he started to feel the effects of the drug that was in the drink. Don told him he was going to kidnap him. Don's men are about to kidnap him, but Colt beats them up. When Don saw this, he decided to run away from the place, but Colt continued to pursue him and was able to stop him. Don tells him that he didn't want to kidnap him, but Tom's security chief ordered him to. He also told him that he would find Tom in one of the hotels where the film crew was staying. So Colt then headed to the hotel and asked the receptionist and started asking her about the room that Tom had booked. Due to the effect of the drug, he was hallucinating and seeing animals everywhere. Then Jody comes to him and he is about to tell her about Tom's disappearance, but Gail arrives in time and takes control of the situation. Then he was able to take Tom's room key from one of the reception staff. He enters the room and starts looking for Tom. Meanwhile, Jody gets his opinion on some scenes in the movie. Then he continued searching until he found the body of one of the people. He felt afraid and called Gail and told her that he would report it to the police, but she refused. But he was persistent and reported it, taking a policeman with him to show him what he saw. But when they reached the room, they did not find the body. He thought he was imagining there was a dead body there because of the drink. The next day, he goes to the set, and then Jody comes to him to tell him what scene he should perform. Then she told him that she and the rest of the staff would go out and celebrate at the end of the day. She asked him to come with them, which he agreed to. After that, he started performing his acting scene, and he was good at it. Then Gail comes to him and tells him that he has to travel on a plane to go to another city and look for Tom because he might be there. He agreed to it, but was frustrated that he wouldn't be able to get out of Jody and the crew like he had planned. He was on his way to travel, but he met Alma, who was Tom's assistant. He asked her about Tom, but she told him that she didn't know where he was. She tells him that she has his phone and that she will give it to him because it might help him find Tom. He actually takes the phone from her, but in the meantime, someone comes and electrocutes them and kidnaps Alma. This person asked her about Tom's phone. Colt was chasing the car, and he was able to jump on the car and was able to hit all the men present and save Alma. Then he went to the place where the staff and Jody were supposed to be, but he discovered that Jody had left. He felt a little sad. Then he asked Dan if he knew the secret code for Tom's phone, but he told him that they should go to his house because Tom has a weak memory and he writes notes and puts them at home, and that they might be able to find his phone code. Indeed, they were able to find the secret code for Tom's phone. They searched the phone and found a video showing Tom at a party. Tom was accompanied by a person named Henry, who had been performing the dangerous scenes in his place recently. Colt was surprised when he saw Henry because he was the same person who found his body in the hotel. He keeps watching the video, and Tom is joking with Henry and hits him so hard that Henry falls and dies. He discovered that Tom had killed Henry and then disappeared to escape arrest. Then they see on the news that Henry has been killed and that they found his body inside the hotel, and that the person who killed him was Colt because he was the last person to enter the room. He was shocked by what he saw, but suddenly Tom's men arrive at the place and the battle begins. He was able to beat them and escape, but he was surprised by the presence of Tom and his men in front of him, and they caught him. Tom told him a shocking thing. He told him that he was the one who made him fall from the high altitude, which caused him to lose his job, because Tom hated Colt because he felt that he was starting to steal the spotlight from him. He also killed Henry because he too was stealing the spotlight from him. He also told him that when Gail learned that Tom killed Henry, she decided to help Tom by implicating Colt. Their plan was to clone Colt's face and put it on Tom's face in the video, proving his guilt. But the problem is that their phone was lost, and this is what delayed them. Tom asked Colt to give him the phone, but he told him he didn't have it. So Tom ordered his men to get rid of Colt. They sprayed gasoline on him to burn him, but he was able to extricate himself and escape. He got into a boat and escaped. He called Jody and told her that he loved her. Tom's men were chasing Colt to kill him and started shooting at him. The boat Colt was on was about to burn. He decided to crash into one of the boats, which resulted in a strong explosion, making everyone believe that he was dead, but he actually managed to escape from the boat. The next day, Jody was on the filming site, but suddenly a person wearing a strange outfit entered and tried to talk to her, but she hit him with all her force. But we discovered that this person is Colt. He told her everything that happened to him, and they thought of a way to make Tom confess to his crime. She told him that she would make him confess by filming the last scene in the movie. Then we see Tom, who was filming his last scene in the movie. Then Jody told him that she wanted him to film a somewhat dangerous scene inside the car. When he got into the car to film the scene, he found Colt next to him. Colt drives the car at an insane speed, and he asks him to confess to his crime, otherwise they will die together. But he refused. We watch Tom's men chase the car in hopes of stopping Colt, but he used cinematic tricks to stop them. Then, because of his fear of death, Tom decided to confess everything. He was wearing a microphone and Jody was recording everything. But suddenly Gail takes the recordings and rides with Tom in a helicopter so they can escape. But Colt jumped on the helicopter and hit Tom. He was able to recover the audio recordings and jumped from the helicopter. Thus they were able to convict Tom. After that, the film directed by Jody was completed. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed.